Captain Dongwoo Kim stood on the bridge of the USS Blackstar, watching the endless stars through the main screen. The ship moved through space beyond Pluto's orbit, far from Earth's warm light. Kim had been in space for 20 years, but he still felt amazed by the beauty of the cosmos. "Captain, I'm getting strange readings on long-range sensors," said First Officer Bo-Ra Lee from her station. Her voice was calm, but Kim could hear the worry underneath. Kim walked over to her console. The screen showed energy patterns he had never seen before. "What kind of readings?" "Massive energy signatures, sir. Multiple contacts approaching our solar system. They're moving faster than anything we've ever built." Bo-Ra's fingers moved quickly over her controls. "Distance is about 50 billion kilometers in closing." The bridge became quiet, except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Communications Officer Hyejin Park looked up from her station. "Sir, should I try to contact them?" "Not yet. Let's see what we're dealing with first." Kim pressed a button on his chair. "All hands, this is the captain. We have unknown contacts approaching our system. All departments report readiness status." The USS Blackstar was Earth's most advanced warship. It carried weapons that could destroy asteroids and shields that could stop most attacks. The crew of 300 was the best Earth had to offer. But Kim felt a cold feeling in his stomach as he watched the sensor readings. "Captain, I'm getting more detailed scans now," said Tactical Officer Sujin Kang. "These ships are huge. The largest one is over 3 kilometers long. We're looking at least 30 vessels." Kim had been expecting this day for years. Earth had developed faster-than-light travel only 50 years ago. Humans had explored nearby star systems, but found no signs of intelligent life. Most people believed Earth was alone in the universe. Kim had always known that was too good to be true. "Sir, they're slowing down," Bo-Ra reported. "They've dropped out of whatever propulsion system they were using. Now they're moving on conventional engines toward the outer planets. Can you identify their technology?" Kim asked. "Engineering." Chief Won-Seok Lim spoke from the engineering station. "Nothing like ours, Captain. Their energy readings suggest power sources far beyond our capabilities, and their ships appear to bend space around them somehow." Kim nodded, slowly. This was what Earth's military leaders had feared. First contact with a species far more advanced than humanity. "Park, any communication attempts from them?" "None yet, sir. But wait." Hyejin Park put her hand to her earpiece. "I'm receiving a transmission now. It's on multiple frequencies. Very powerful signal. Put it on speakers." The bridge filled with a deep, harsh voice, speaking in an unknown language. The words sounded angry and commanding. After a minute, the voice switched to broken English. "Primitive species of the third planet. I am Admiral Thekmore of the Valdorian Galactic Empire. Your system has been selected for integration into our domain. You will cease all military activities and prepare for occupation. Resistance will result in complete destruction of your species." Kim felt his hands form fists. The alien had called humans primitive. Worse, it spoke as if Earth already belonged to them. The message continued. "You have 72 of your hours to surrender. Send your leaders to the coordinates we will provide. Any attempt to flee or fight will be considered an act of war. We have conquered 847 star systems. Do not be foolish enough to believe you can oppose us." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. "Sir," said Park quietly, "they're broadcasting the same message on all Earth communication frequencies. The whole planet will hear this." Kim sat back in his captain's chair and thought carefully. Earth's space fleet consisted of 12 ships like the Blackstar. These aliens had 30 ships in just this advance force, and they claimed to rule hundreds of star systems. The smart thing would be to retreat to Earth and let the politicians try to negotiate. But Kim looked at his crew and saw determination in their faces. These people had joined Earth's space fleet to protect their home world. They weren't going to run from the first real test of their courage. "Lim, what's our weapon status?" Kim asked. "All systems ready, sir. Railguns loaded and charged. Missile tubes armed. We have enough ammunition for a major engagement." Kim stood up and walked to the main screen. The alien ships were still too far away to see, but he could feel their presence like a weight pressing down on him. "Captain," said Medical Officer Yoonji Song from her station, "what are your orders?" Kim thought about Earth, about the billions of people who had no idea their planet was about to be invaded. He thought about his own family in Seoul, probably, having dinner and watching the news. They trusted him and people like him to keep them safe. Park, open a channel to the alien fleet. Sir, are you sure? Do it. Hee-Jin Park's fingers moved over her controls. Channel open, sir. Kim took a deep breath. Admiral Thekmore. This is Captain Dong-Woo Kim of the United Earth vessel Blackstar. I have a message for you and your empire. He paused, looking around at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting to see what he would do. In that moment, Kim made a decision that would change everything. You call us primitive, but you clearly don't understand humans very well. We don't surrender our home to anyone. We don't bow down to threats. And we definitely don't let bullies take what isn't theirs. Kim's voice grew stronger as he continued. You want our world? You want to add Earth to your collection of conquered planets? Then come and take it. But know this. We will fight you with everything we have. We will make you pay for every meter of space, every drop of water, every breath of air. You may be more advanced than us, but you've never faced anything like humanity. The bridge crew was staring at him now, some with amazement, others with fear. Kim didn't care. He was committed now. You have 847 conquered systems? Good for you. But Earth will not be number 848. This is Captain Kim of the USS Blackstar, and I'm telling you and your empire that humanity chooses war. Kim made a cutting motion across his throat, and Park closed the channel. The silence that followed seemed to last forever. Then Won Seok. Lim started clapping. Soon the entire bridge crew joined in, cheering and shouting. They knew they were probably going to die, but they had chosen to die fighting. All stations, prepare for combat, Kim ordered. Set course to intercept the alien fleet. We're going to show these Valdorians what happens when you threaten Earth. As the USS Blackstar turned toward the approaching enemy, Kim felt a strange sense of peace. He had just declared war on an galactic empire, probably dooming his ship and crew. But he had also sent a message that would echo across the stars. Humanity would never surrender. The war between Earth and the Valdorian Empire had begun. And in the cold darkness of space, the USS Blackstar flew toward its destiny, carrying the hopes and defiance of an entire species. Behind them, Earth continued to spin in its orbit, unaware that its fate now rested in the hands of one ship and its brave crew. The next few hours would determine whether humanity would remain free or become slaves to an alien empire. Captain Kim sat in his chair and prepared for the greatest battle of his life. The USS Blackstar moved through space toward the alien fleet. Captain Dong-Woo Kim watched the tactical display as the distance between his ship and the Valdorians slowly decreased. The enemy had stopped moving and seemed to be waiting for something. Captain, one of their smaller ships is breaking away from the main fleet, reported Tactical Officer Soo-Jin Kang. It's heading straight for us. Kim nodded. He had expected this. The aliens probably wanted to make an example of his ship before dealing with Earth. One cruiser against the entire human fleet was meant to show how hopeless resistance would be. What's the size of that ship? Kim asked. About 800 meters long, sir. Much larger than us, but not their biggest vessel. First Officer Bo-Ra Lee looked at the readings on her screen. Captain, they're probably sending one ship because they think we're not worth their full attention. Kim smiled grimly. Let's change their minds about that. Kang, what's our weapon status? All railguns ready, sir. Missiles armed and targeted. The enemy ship will be in range in 10 minutes. Kim thought about the weapons Earth had developed. While other species might focus on energy beams and fancy technology, humans had perfected the art of throwing things very fast and very hard. The railguns could fire metal slugs at 15% of light speed. At that velocity, even a small piece of metal could destroy almost anything. Sir, said Communications Officer Hye-Jin Park, the alien ship is trying to contact us. Put it through, a harsh voice filled the bridge. Human vessel, you have made a grave error. Surrender immediately, and we will make your death quick. Continue this foolishness, and you will suffer greatly before you die. Kim picked up his communicator. This is Captain Kim. Here's our answer to your offer. He looked at his weapons officer. Tai Hyun Choi, show them how humans say hello. Weapons Officer Tae-hyun Choi's hands moved over his controls. "Firing railguns, sir!" The USS Blackstar shuddered slightly as 3 metal slugs shot out at incredible speed. The projectiles were invisible to the naked eye, moving too fast to track. On the main screen, Kim watched the alien cruiser continue its approach, apparently unaware of what was coming. "Time to impact, 15 seconds, Choi reported. Kim counted down silently. On the tactical display, the alien ship showed strong energy shields around its hull. Those shields were probably designed to stop laser beams and plasma bolts. But nobody had ever told the Valdorians about kinetic weapons. The metal slugs hit the alien ship's shields and passed through them like they weren't there. The first projectile punched through the front hull and exited through the rear, leaving a perfectly round hole. The second hit the ship's middle section and caused a massive explosion. The third slug hit the engine area, and the entire ship simply disappeared in a ball of fire. The bridge crew stared at the tactical display in amazement. The alien cruiser was completely gone. Not damaged, not disabled, completely destroyed in less than 3 seconds. "Direct hits, sir," Choi said, his voice filled with wonder. "Target eliminated." Kim felt a surge of pride in his crew and his ship. "Well done, everyone. Park, are you monitoring alien communications?" "Yes, sir. They're going crazy over there. Lots of excited chatter in their language. I think we surprised them." That was putting it mildly. On the alien flagship, Admiral Thekmore stared at his tactical display in shock. The human ship had destroyed a Valdorian cruiser in seconds using some kind of primitive projectile weapon. In 3,000 years of galactic conquest, nothing like this had ever happened. Back on the Blackstar, Kim was planning his next move. "Kang, how many more ships are in their fleet?" 29 vessels remaining, sir. They're starting to move toward us, but slowly. I think they're being more careful now." Kim understood their caution. The aliens had expected to swat away one small human ship like an annoying insect. Instead, they had lost a major warship to an enemy they had dismissed as primitive. "Sir, we're receiving a message from Earth Command," Park reported. "Admiral In-ho Jang wants to speak with you." Kim had expected this call. Earth's military leaders were probably panicking right now. "Put him through on a secure channel." Admiral Jang's worried face appeared on Kim's personal screen. "Dongwoo, what the hell are you doing out there? The entire planet is watching this battle on the news feeds." "Doing my job, sir. Protecting Earth from hostile aliens. You've started a war with an empire that controls hundreds of star systems. They could destroy our entire planet." Kim looked at the tactical display showing the approaching alien fleet. "They were going to do that anyway, Admiral. At least now we're fighting back." Jang was quiet for a moment. "What do you need from us?" "Send every ship you can spare, and tell Dr. Mi-young-yu to load her special weapons on anything that can carry them." "Understood. And Dongwoo, good luck." The transmission ended. Kim turned back to his crew, who had been listening to the conversation. "Sir," said Engineering Chief Won-seok Lim, "the alien fleet is spreading out. They're trying to surround us." Kim studied the tactical display. The Valdorians were using standard military doctrine: surround the enemy and attack from all sides. It was a good strategy against most opponents, but humans didn't fight like most opponents. "Lim, can you give me more speed?" "Yes, sir, but if we push the engines too hard, we might damage them." "Do it. We're heading for the asteroid belt." Bo-Ra-Lee looked surprised. "Sir, that's moving away from Earth." "Trust me," Kim said. "We need to change the rules of this fight." The USS Blackstar accelerated toward the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The alien fleet followed, their ships moving in a perfect formation. They were professional soldiers following standard tactics. That was exactly what Kim was counting on. "Entering the asteroid field now," reported Navigation Officer Kyung-Min Han. "There are thousands of rocks out here, some as big as mountains." Kim smiled. "Perfect. Kang, can you target those asteroids with our weapons?" Sujin Kang understood immediately. "Yes, sir. If we hit them just right, we can send them flying toward the alien ships." "Do it. Turn every rock in this belt into a weapon." The USS Blackstar began a deadly dance through the asteroid field. The ship's railguns fired continuously, not at the alien vessels, but at the floating rocks around them. Each impact sent massive asteroids spinning toward the pursuing fleet. The Valdorians had never encountered this kind of tactic. Their ships were built for open space combat, not for dodging unpredictable debris. Several vessels took serious damage from asteroid impacts. Others had to break formation to avoid the flying rocks. "They're confused, sir," Park reported, listening to alien communications. "Their admiral is shouting orders, but his ships don't know how to respond." Kim felt satisfied. Humans had turned the asteroid belt into a minefield using nothing but creative thinking and good aim. But he wasn't done yet. "Lim, I need you to rig some of our mining charges for remote detonation," Kim ordered. "Sir, those charges are meant for breaking up asteroids for mining operations." "Exactly. But they'll work just as well on alien ships." For the next hour, the USS Blackstar led the Valdorian fleet on a chase through the asteroid belt. The human ship dropped modified mining charges on large asteroids, then detonated them when alien vessels came close. The explosions sent clouds of rock fragments in all directions, damaging several more enemy ships. By the time the chase ended, the Valdorian fleet had lost 5 vessels and suffered damage to a dozen others. The USS Blackstar had taken only minor damage from some lucky hits. Admiral Thekmore finally ordered his fleet to retreat beyond the asteroid belt. For the first time in his long military career, he had been outfought by an inferior enemy. The humans had used their environment as a weapon and turned his own superior numbers against him. "Sir, the alien fleet is pulling back," Kang reported. "They're moving to a safe distance and regrouping." Kim looked at his tired crew. They had been fighting for hours, but they had proven something important. Humans could fight aliens and win. Technology wasn't everything. Sometimes courage and cleverness mattered more. "Good work, everyone," Kim said. "But this is just the beginning. They'll be back with more ships and new tactics." As if to prove his point, Park suddenly looked up from her station with alarm. "Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures approaching from deep space. More alien ships, lots of them." Kim sighed. The Valdorian Empire was sending reinforcements. The real war was about to begin. Deep in the heart of the Valdorian Empire, Emperor Kovthek the Eternal sat on his throne and read the battle reports with growing anger. For 800 years, he had ruled the galaxy with absolute power. No species had ever successfully resisted his forces. But now, a primitive race from an unknown world had destroyed 6 of his warships. "Impossible," the Emperor growled, his voice echoing through the massive throne room. "Admiral Thekmore must be lying. How can hairless apes defeat Valdorian technology?" His military advisor, General Krekthon, bowed nervously. "My lord, I have confirmed the reports. The humans use crude kinetic weapons that somehow penetrate our shields. They also fight in ways we have never encountered." Emperor Kovthek stood up from his throne, his 8-foot frame casting a long shadow. His species had evolved from predators, and when angry, he looked like he could tear apart a starship with his bare hands. "Send Battle Group 7 to crush these insects," he commanded. 50 ships should be more than enough to turn their planet into dust." Meanwhile, on Earth, the USS Blackstar had returned to the inner solar system. Captain Dongwoo Kim stood in the briefing room with his senior officers, studying intelligence reports that Communications Officer Hyejin Park had intercepted from alien transmissions. "The good news is that we hurt them badly," Park explained. "Their communications show real concern about our weapons and tactics. The bad news is that they're sending a much larger fleet to finish us off." First Officer Bora Lee pointed to the tactical display. 50 ships, according to their transmissions. Our entire space fleet only has 12 vessels." Kim nodded grimly. Earth's space fleet consisted of ships like the USS Blackstar, fast, well-armed, but heavily outnumbered. Against 50 alien warships, even human ingenuity might not be enough. "Sir," said Intelligence Officer Eugene Kwan, "I've been analyzing intercepted communications from other parts of the galaxy. The news of our battle is spreading fast. Several alien species are talking about the humans who fought the Valdorian Empire." This caught Kim's attention. "What kind of talk?" "Mixed reactions, sir. Some species seem afraid that we'll bring Valdorian punishment down on everyone, but others sound hopeful." Before Kim could ask more questions, Navigation Officer Kyung Min Han burst into the briefing room. Captain, we have an unknown ship approaching Earth. It's not Valdorian design. Kim and his officers rushed to the bridge. On the main screen, they could see a sleek vessel unlike anything in Earth's databases. The ship was beautiful, with smooth curves and what looked like crystalline structures along its hull. "Sir, they're hailing us," Park reported. "On screen." The main display showed a tall, elegant alien with pale blue skin and large, intelligent eyes. When it spoke, its voice was musical and calm. "Greetings, brave humans. I am Commander Veltar of the Zephyrian Resistance. We have heard of your battle against the Valdorian Empire. We wish to speak with your leaders." Kim was surprised. This alien didn't sound hostile at all. "I'm Captain Kim of the USS Blackstar. What do you want with us?" "To offer alliance," Veltar replied. "The Zephyrians were conquered by the Valdorians 300 years ago. We have been fighting a secret war ever since. Your recent victory has given us hope that the Empire can be defeated." An hour later, Commander Veltar stood in the USS Blackstar's conference room with Kim and his senior officers. The Zephyrian was even more impressive in person, tall, graceful, and obviously very intelligent. "The Valdorian Empire controls over 800 star systems," Veltar explained. "But their control is not as strong as they pretend. Many species hate their rule but lack the military power to resist. Your victory has shown that the Empire can be beaten." Tactical Officer Sujin Kong leaned forward. "What can you offer us?" "We're facing 50 enemy ships with only 12 of our own." "Technology," Veltar said simply. "Zephyrian shield generators that can stop energy weapons, sensor equipment that can detect cloaked ships, and most importantly, information about Valdorian weaknesses." Kim was interested but cautious. "What do you want in return?" "Your military knowledge. Zephyrians are scientists and engineers, not warriors. We can build defensive weapons, but we don't understand warfare like humans do. Teach us to fight, and we will help you survive the coming battle." Before Kim could answer, Park interrupted from her station on the bridge. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from another unknown ship. This one identifies itself as Drakari." Soon, a second alien stood in the conference room. The Drakari looked like a 7-foot-tall lizard walking upright with tough scales and sharp claws. But like Veltar, it seemed friendly rather than threatening. "I am Engineer Maktor of the Drakari shipyards," the lizard-like alien said in a deep, rumbling voice. "We, too, have heard of your victory against the Valdorians. We wish to trade with you." "Trade what?" Kim asked. "Starship improvements for weapon designs. The Drakari are the finest shipbuilders in the galaxy. We can make your vessels faster and stronger. In return, we want to study your kinetic weapons." Kim looked around the table at his officers and the two aliens. A few hours ago, Earth had been alone against a galactic empire. Now, potential allies were appearing from across the galaxy. "Why now?" Kim asked. "If you've been resisting the Valdorians for centuries, why contact us?" Veltar and Maktor exchanged looks. The Zephyrian spoke first. "Because you did something no one else has ever done. You attacked them first. Every other species has fought, defensively, trying to protect their worlds from conquest. You went after their fleet before they could reach Earth. It shows a warrior spirit we have never seen," Maktor added. "Most species fight to survive. Humans fight to win." Kim made his decision. "All right, we'll work together. But understand this, Earth makes its own choices. We're not looking for masters, just allies." Both aliens agreed immediately. Over the next several hours, teams of human engineers worked with Zephyrian and Drakari, specialists to upgrade the USS Blackstar. The ship's shields were replaced with advanced Zephyrian technology. Its engines were modified with Drakari improvements that doubled their power output. Meanwhile, human weapons specialists taught their alien partners how to build railguns and kinetic missiles. The aliens were amazed by the simplicity and effectiveness of human weapons design. "You take simple concepts and perfect them," Veltar observed as he watched human engineers work. "Most species try to build the most advanced weapons possible. Humans build the most effective weapons possible." But not everyone on Earth was happy about the alliance. Politician Sang-Ho Moon led a group that wanted to negotiate with the Valdorians instead of fighting them. These aliens will bring destruction to our world, Moon argued in an emergency session of Earth's government. We should surrender before it's too late. Admiral In-Ho Jang disagreed strongly. The Valdorians have never shown mercy to any species they've conquered. Our only chance is to fight with everything we have. The debate was cut short when Yu Jin Quan reported terrifying news. The Valdorian battle fleet had been detected approaching the solar system. 50 massive warships led by Emperor Kov Thek himself. Sir, Quan said, they'll be here in 2 days. Kim looked at the combined human-alien fleet. They now had 30 ships total. The 12 human vessels plus 18 captured or converted ships provided by the Zephyrian and Drakari resistance groups. Against 50 Valdorian warships, including the massive Imperial flagship, it still wasn't enough. We can't fight them in Earth's orbit, Kim decided. If we lose, the debris could damage the planet. We'll meet them at the edge of the solar system. Dr. Mi-Young Yu, Earth's weapons research director, had been working frantically to prepare special weapons for the battle. Captain, I have a proposal. It's risky, but it might work. I'm listening. The sun, Dr. Yu said simply. If we can lure the Valdorian fleet close enough to our star, we might be able to use solar radiation as a weapon. Kim stared at her. You want to fight a battle next to the sun? Not next to it. In it. Well, in its outer atmosphere. Our ships can handle the radiation for a short time with the new Zephyrian shields, but the Valdorian ships aren't designed for it. It was the craziest plan Kim had ever heard. It was also brilliant. The Valdorians would never expect anyone to fight a battle in a star's corona. Do it, Kim ordered. Prepare everything you need, and get ready for the biggest space battle in galactic history. As the combined fleet prepared for war, Kim stood on the bridge of the USS Blackstar and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 50 enemy ships were coming to destroy his world. But Earth was no longer alone. They had allies now, and a plan that just might work. The real test was about to begin. The combined fleet of 30 ships moved through space toward the edge of the solar system. Captain Dongwoo Kim stood on the bridge of the USS Blackstar, watching the tactical display that showed their formation. Human ships flew alongside Zephyrian vessels and Drakari cruisers in an alliance that would have been impossible just days earlier. Captain, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth, Communications Officer Hyojin Park reported. Put it through. The face of politician Sang-Ho Moon appeared on the main screen. His expression was angry and determined. Captain Kim, I'm ordering you to return to Earth immediately. The Global Council has voted to attempt negotiations with the Valdorian Empire. Kim felt his jaw tighten. Mr. Moon, with respect, I take orders from Admiral Jang, not from politicians. Admiral Jang has been relieved of command pending a review of his decisions. Moon replied coldly. I am now in charge of Earth's defense, and I'm ordering you to stand down. Before Kim could respond, First Officer Bo-Ra Lee cut the transmission. Sorry, sir. We seem to be having technical difficulties with our communications array. Kim smiled. Grimly. His crew was loyal, and they understood what was at stake. Good work, Lee. From now on, all communications with Earth are experiencing technical problems. But the argument with Moon had raised an important question. The crew was following Kim into what might be a suicide mission. They deserved to know exactly what they were fighting for. Kim activated the ship's internal communications. All hands, this is the captain. I want to be completely honest with you about our situation. We're outnumbered 50 to 30 by an enemy with superior technology. Many of us probably won't survive the next few hours. He paused, looking around the bridge at his officers. But I want you to understand why we're fighting. The Valdorian Empire has conquered hundreds of worlds. They don't negotiate. They don't show mercy. They either enslave species or destroy them completely. Kim's voice grew stronger. Some people on Earth think we should surrender and hope for the best. But our alien allies have shown us what Valdorian rule really means. The Zephyrians have been slaves for 300 years. The Drakari lost half their population in the conquest of their world. He thought about his family back on Earth, probably watching the news and wondering if they would ever see him again. We're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for the idea that free people should never bow down to tyrants. We're fighting so that our children will grow up free. The response from the crew was immediate. On every deck, in every department, men and women cheered and shouted their support. They understood now that this wasn't just a battle between Earth and the Valdorians. It was a fight between freedom and slavery. "Sir," said Intelligence Officer Eugene Kwan, "I'm detecting the Valdorian fleet on long-range sensors. They'll be here in 6 hours." Kim nodded. "All ships, begin final preparations. This is going to be the hardest fight of our lives." On the Valdorian flagship Death of Suns, Emperor Kovthek the Eternal studied the tactical display showing the approaching human fleet. He was surprised to see Zephyrian and Drakari ships flying with the humans. "So," the Emperor said to his military advisor, "the insects have found some friends. No matter. 50 Valdorian warships can crush 100 primitive vessels." "General," Krekthan looked worried. "My lord, perhaps we should be more cautious. The humans have already surprised us several times." "Surprised us?" Emperor Kovthek's voice rose in anger. "They destroyed a few ships with lucky shots. Nothing more. Today we will show the galaxy what happens to species that dare to oppose the Empire." But the Emperor's confidence was shaken when his censor officer reported something unexpected. "My lord, the human fleet is not retreating toward their planet. They're moving toward their star." Kovthek stared at the tactical display in confusion. No military commander in galactic history had ever used a star as a battlefield. The radiation levels near a star's surface would damage most starships within minutes. "Are they trying to hide in the solar radiation?" he wondered aloud. "Unknown, my lord. But our ships are not equipped for combat in such an environment." The Emperor considered this problem for a moment, then dismissed it. "It doesn't matter. We'll destroy them before they reach the star." Back on the USS Blackstar, Dr. Mi-Young-Yu was making final preparations for her desperate plan. The ship's cargo bay had been converted into a massive laboratory where human, Zephyrian, and Drakari scientists worked together on a weapon that had never been attempted before. "The solar observation satellites are in position," Dr. Yu reported to Kim. "When the Valdorian fleet gets close enough, we can trigger artificial solar flares that will flood the area with deadly radiation." Engineering Chief Won-Seok Lim looked concerned. "Doctor, our ships won't be completely safe either. Even with the Zephyrian shields, we can only survive in the corona for about 30 minutes. Then we'll have to win quickly," Kim replied. Commander Veltar of the Zephyrian Resistance had been working closely with human tactical officers to plan the battle. "Captain Kim, I must say that your species has a unique approach to warfare. Most civilized races would never consider fighting near a star." "Maybe that's why most civilized races end up conquered," Kim said. "Sometimes you have to do the impossible to win." Engineer Maktor of the Drakari added his own observation. "The modifications to your ship are complete, Captain. Your weapons now have twice their original power, and your engines can operate in the corona's magnetic field. But I agree with Engineer Lim. This plan is extremely dangerous." Kim appreciated their concern, but he had made his choice. "All ships, prepare for acceleration. We're heading for the sun." The combined fleet accelerated toward the center of the solar system, their ships straining against the massive gravitational pull of the star. Behind them, 50 Valdorian warships followed in perfect formation, confident in their superior numbers and firepower. "Sir, the Valdorians are increasing speed," reported Tactical Officer Su Jin Kang. "They're trying to catch us before we reach the corona." "Let them come," Kim said. "The closer they get to the sun, the better our plan works." The two fleets raced through space toward the massive ball of nuclear fire that was Earth's sun. The star grew larger and brighter on the main screen as they approached, its surface boiling with energy that could vaporize a planet. Entering the solar magnetic field, Navigation Officer Kyung-Min Han reported. "The Zephyrian shields are holding, but I'm reading massive energy fluctuations." Kim watched the tactical display as both fleets entered the dangerous region around the sun. The Valdorian ships were beginning to show signs of stress from the radiation, but they continued their pursuit. "Dr. Yu, are your satellites ready?" Kim asked. "Standing by, Captain. Just get the enemy fleet into the target zone." Kim looked at the positions of both fleets on his tactical display. They were now flying through the sun's outer atmosphere, surrounded by temperatures hot enough to melt steel and radiation levels that would kill an unprotected human in seconds. "All ships, prepare for combat," Kim ordered. "Today we find out if humans can fight gods and win." The Valdorian fleet was closing fast, their weapons charging for what Emperor Kovthek expected to be an easy victory. But the aliens had no idea what they were flying into. Dr. Yu's hand hovered over the control that would trigger the solar flares. Range to target 2,000 kilometers and closing, Kang reported. Kim took a deep breath. Everything depended on the next few minutes. Dr. Yu, on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. Dr. Yu pressed the control, and around the sun, hidden satellites began to overload. The chain reaction they triggered would turn the star itself into humanity's greatest weapon. The Battle of Sol's Corona was about to begin. The sun exploded around them. Not the star itself, but its outer atmosphere erupted in massive flares triggered by Dr. Mi-Young Yu's hidden satellites. Streams of nuclear fire shot out from the corona like the fingers of an angry god, reaching toward both fleets with temperatures of millions of degrees. Solar flares triggered successfully, Dr. Yu reported from her station as the USS Blackstar shook from the incredible forces surrounding it. The Valdorian fleet is caught in the radiation storm. Captain Dong-Woo Kim watched his tactical display as chaos erupted around the enemy ships. The aliens had advanced shields designed to stop weapons and deflect energy beams. But they had never prepared for the raw power of a star turned into a weapon. Sir, multiple Valdorian vessels are showing severe damage, Tactical Officer Sujin Kang reported. Their shields are failing under the solar radiation. Emperor Kovtek the Eternal stood on the bridge of his flagship, Death of Suns, and watched. His mighty fleet suffer like never before. Ships that had conquered worlds were being torn apart by forces beyond their control. The human insects had somehow turned the system's star against him. All ships, retreat from the radiation field, the Emperor commanded, his voice filled with rage and disbelief. But it was too late for many of his vessels. 12 Valdorian warships simply disappeared as their hull plating melted under the solar assault. Others limped away with their weapons systems destroyed and their crews dying from radiation poisoning. "My lord," his military advisor said in a shaking voice, "we've lost over 20 ships. How is this possible?" The Emperor stared at the tactical display showing the human fleet. Their ships were somehow surviving in the star's corona while his advanced vessels were being destroyed. "Impossible," he whispered. But on the USS Blackstar, the situation wasn't much better. Even with Zephyrian shields, the human ships were taking massive punishment from the solar environment. Shield strength down to 60%. Engineering. Chief Won-Seok Lim reported. "We can't stay in here much longer." Kim nodded grimly. Dr. Yu's plan had worked perfectly, but they were fighting in conditions that would kill them all if the battle lasted too long. "All ships, attack formation. We end this now." The combined human-alien fleet charged through the solar fire toward the surviving Valdorian vessels. Railguns fired streams of metal projectiles that glowed white-hot from the intense radiation. Missiles streaked between the ships like miniature comets. The battle became a nightmare of nuclear fire and exploding starships. Veteran Valdorian crews, trained for centuries of warfare, found themselves helpless against an enemy that fought in conditions no sane military commander would enter. "Enemy flagship is trying to retreat," Communications Officer Hyojin Park reported. "They're moving away from the sun." "Not today," Kim said coldly. "Helm, intercept course. If the Emperor wants to run, he'll have to go through us first." The USS Blackstar accelerated through the corona toward the Death of Suns. The massive Valdorian flagship was 3 times larger than Kim's ship, but size meant nothing in this hellish environment. Both vessels were being cooked alive by the star's radiation. "Sir, the enemy ship is hailing us," Park said. "Put it through." Emperor Kovthek's face appeared on the main screen. The alien ruler looked older than his 800 years, his confidence shattered by the impossible defeat of his fleet. "Human captain," the Emperor said, his voice filled with hatred. "You have destroyed my fleet with trickery and cowardice. Face me in honorable combat, warrior to warrior." Kim almost laughed. "Honorable combat? You came here to enslave my entire species. You've conquered hundreds of worlds and killed billions of innocent people. You want honor? Here's some human honor for you." He gestured to Weapons Officer Tae-hyun Choi. "Fire everything we have." The USS Blackstar unleashed its full weapons load at point-blank range. Railgun slugs tore through the flagship's hull, while missiles exploded against its damaged shields. But the Death of Suns was a powerful warship, and it returned fire with energy beams that lit up the Corona like lightning. Hull breach on deck. 7, Lim reported as the ship shook from enemy hits. Emergency force fields are holding. The two ships circled each other in the star's outer atmosphere, trading devastating blows while solar flares erupted around them. It was like watching two ancient warriors dueling inside an active volcano. Sir, the enemy ship is launching boarding pods, Security Chief Hyun-Soo Park reported. They're trying to take our ship by force. Kim wasn't surprised. When aliens couldn't win with superior technology, they often tried to use their physical advantages. Most alien species were larger and stronger than humans. All security teams, prepare to repel boarders. Remember your training and watch each other's backs. The boarding pods slammed into the USS Blackstar's hull and began cutting through. Within minutes, Valdorian soldiers were pouring into the ship's corridors. They were 8 feet tall, with armored skin and claws that could tear through steel. But the human crew was ready for them. Security teams armed with kinetic weapons met the aliens in running battles throughout the ship. What the Valdorians had in size and strength, the humans made up for in speed and cunning. Boarding parties on decks 3, 5, and 7, Security Chief Park reported over the communication system. We're holding them back, but they're tough. Kim made a decision that surprised everyone. Lee, you have the bridge. I'm going to deal with their emperor personally. First Officer Bo-Ra Lee stared at him. Sir, you can't leave during a battle. The ship is yours, Commander. Don't let them break through our lines. Kim grabbed a kinetic rifle and headed for the cargo bay where the largest group of aliens had landed. He found Emperor Kovthek waiting for him, surrounded by his personal guard. The alien ruler was even more impressive in person. A massive predator evolved for warfare. So the human captain comes to die with honor after all, the Emperor said, his claws gleaming in the emergency lighting. I came to finish what you started, Kim replied, raising his weapon. The fight that followed was brutal and quick. Kim's rifle fired continuously, dropping alien guards with precisely aimed shots. But Emperor Kovthek was incredibly fast for his size, dodging the bullets and closing the distance between them. When the Emperor's claws slashed toward Kim's chest, the human captain rolled aside and triggered an emergency plasma vent. Superheated, gas erupted from the ship's power system, filling the cargo bay with deadly fire. Emperor Kovthek screamed as the plasma burned through his armored skin. He fell to the deck, mortally wounded but still trying to reach Kim with his dying breath. Your empire dies with you, Kim said, standing over the fallen alien ruler. You have won nothing, the Emperor gasped. There will be others who will avenge me. Let them come, Kim replied. Humans don't back down from bullies. Emperor Kovthek the Eternal died on the deck of a human starship, surrounded by the bodies of his guards. His death would mark the end of an empire that had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. Captain to bridge, Kim said into his communicator. The Emperor is dead. How's our situation? The remaining Valdorian ships are retreating, sir, Lee reported. We've won the battle, but the ship is badly damaged. We need to get out of the Corona before our shields fail completely. Kim looked around the destroyed cargo bay and smiled grimly. They had done the impossible. A single human ship and its crew had killed the most powerful ruler in galactic history and broken the back of his mighty fleet. All hands, this is the captain, Kim announced over the ship's communication system. Emperor Kovthek the Eternal is dead. The Valdorian Empire is finished. You've just made history. The cheers that erupted throughout the ship could probably be heard back on Earth. They had won the greatest victory in human history, and they had done it by refusing to give up when any sane person would have surrendered. But as the USS Blackstar limped away from the sun's corona, Kim knew their real work was just beginning. The galaxy was about to change forever, and humanity would have to help guide that change. The war was over, but the future was just beginning. 3 days after the Battle of Sol's Corona, the USS Blackstar floated in space near Mars, while repair crews worked frantically to fix the damage from their fight with Emperor Kovthek. Captain Dongwoo Kim stood in his ready room, reading reports that changed everything he thought he knew about the galaxy. The entire Valdorian Empire is falling apart, Intelligence Officer Yu Jin Quan reported. Without the Emperor, their military commanders are fighting each other for control. Colonial governors are declaring independence. Slave species are rising in rebellion across hundreds of star systems. Kim nodded slowly. He had expected this, but the speed of the collapse was amazing. How many species are asking for our help? 67. So far, sir. They all want to join something called the Human Coalition, even though we never created such a thing. Before Kim could respond, Communications Officer Hee-Jin Park's voice came over the ship's intercom. Captain, to the bridge, please. Priority transmission from Earth. Kim walked onto the bridge to find Admiral In-Ho Jang's face on the main screen. The Admiral looked tired but pleased. Dongwu, I have good news and bad news, Jang said. The good news is that politician Moon and his peace faction have been removed from power. Earth's government has decided to support your actions completely. And the bad news? They want you to lead a diplomatic mission to the Valdorian homeworld. Apparently, the surviving alien leadership wants to surrender formally to the great human war chief who killed their god emperor. Kim almost laughed. They think I'm some kind of warrior god? According to our alien allies, yes. Commander Veltar says the story of your single combat with Emperor Kovthek is spreading across the galaxy. You're becoming a legend. That was not what Kim had wanted to hear. He was a starship captain, not a galactic politician. But he understood that someone had to help organize the chaos left behind by the Empire's collapse. Sir, I'll need a larger fleet for this mission, Kim said. The Valdorian homeworld still has defensive systems, already arranged. You'll have 12 human ships, plus whatever Zephyrian and Drakari vessels want to join you. Dr. Mi-Young-Yu is also being transferred to your command permanently. Kim accepted the assignment, though he would have preferred to return to normal patrol duties. But normal didn't exist anymore. The galaxy had changed forever, and Earth was now at the center of galactic politics, whether they wanted to be or not. 2 weeks later, the combined human-alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace near Kithara, the Valdorian homeworld. Kim stood on the bridge of the USS Blackstar and stared at the planet that had been the center of a galactic empire for 3,000 years. Sir, we're being hailed by the Planetary Defense Force, Park reported. Put them through. The alien, who appeared on screen, was clearly Valdorian, but he looked nothing like the proud warriors Kim had fought in battle. This one seemed broken, defeated, almost pleading. Great human war chief, the alien said. I am Admiral Thekmore, former commander of the Imperial Fleet. I formally request permission to surrender our world and our people to your merciful rule. Kim felt uncomfortable with the title, but he played his part. Admiral Thekmore, I accept your surrender on behalf of the Galactic Coalition. Your people will be treated fairly, but the days of Valdorian conquest are over forever. The surrender ceremony took place in the Great Throne Room where Emperor Kovthek had ruled for 8 centuries. Kim stood where the tyrant's throne had been, surrounded by representatives from dozens of species that had suffered under Valdorian rule. Today marks the end of an age of conquest and the beginning of an age of cooperation, Kim announced to the assembled crowd. The Galactic Coalition will be built on freedom, equality, and the right of all species to determine their own destiny. The cheers from the crowd were overwhelming, but Kim noticed that not everyone looked happy. Some aliens seemed worried about human intentions, while others appeared resentful of Earth's sudden rise to power. After the ceremony, Kim met privately with his senior officers and alien allies in a secure room. Captain, Commander Veltar said, I must warn you that not all species trust human leadership. Some fear that you will simply replace the Valdorian Empire with a human one. Engineer Maktor of the Drakari agreed. Your species has shown great military skill, but governing a galaxy requires different talents. Many worlds are asking what humans really want from this new coalition. First Officer Bo-Ra Lee leaned forward. What do we want, Captain? We never planned to become galactic rulers. Kim had been thinking about this question for weeks. The truth was that humans had never wanted to conquer anyone. They had only fought to protect their freedom and help others do the same. We want to go home, Kim said simply. We want to return to Earth and let the galaxy govern itself. But we also want to make sure that no species ever again has to face what the Valdorians did to everyone. Dr. Mi-Young-Yu, who had been quiet during the discussion, finally spoke up. Captain, I've been analyzing the political situation across the former empire. Over 200 species are looking for leadership. If we simply leave, there will be wars as different groups fight for territory and resources. Kim sighed. He had feared this would happen. So, what do you recommend? A transition period, Dr. Yu replied. We help establish a real galactic government with representatives from all species. We provide military protection during the transition, and then we gradually reduce our involvement until the galaxy can govern itself. It was a good plan, but Kim knew it would take years or even decades to implement. Earth would have to remain involved in galactic politics for a long time. 6 months later, Kim stood on the bridge of the USS Blackstar as it patrolled the former Valdorian capital system. The ship had been completely rebuilt and upgraded with the best technology from a dozen different species. It was now the flagship of the Galactic Coalition Defense Force. Sir, we're receiving reports from the outer sectors, Park said. The Andromedans are requesting membership in the Coalition. That makes 143 species who have joined so far. Kim nodded. The Coalition was growing every week as more species learned that humans really did keep their promises about freedom and equality. But there were still problems. Any word from the Sector 7 rebellion? Kim asked. Intelligence reports that General Krek Thon has been defeated by Coalition forces, Intelligence Officer Quan reported. The last of the Valdorian military holdouts have surrendered. That was good news. Some former Imperial officers had tried to restart the old system of conquest, but they found little support among populations that had tasted freedom. Captain, said Navigation Officer Kyung-Min Han, we're approaching the coordinates for our meeting with the Coalition Council. Kim looked at the tactical display showing dozens of ships from different species gathering for the monthly council meeting. Representatives from across the galaxy came together to discuss trade, territorial disputes, and mutual defense. It wasn't perfect, but it was working. Sir, Lee said quietly, do you ever regret what we started? Kim thought about the question. Seriously. The war had cost thousands of human lives and changed Earth forever. His own family had suffered during the fighting, and he had personally killed the ruler of a galactic empire. But he also thought about species like the Zephyrians, who were now free after 3 centuries of slavery. He thought about young aliens who would grow up in a galaxy where they could choose their own destiny instead of serving an empire built on conquest. No, Kim said finally. We did what we had to do, and we proved something important. What's that, sir? Kim smiled as he watched the diverse fleet of Coalition ships working together to build a better future. We proved that freedom is worth fighting for, no matter what the odds. And we proved that even the smallest species can change the galaxy if they refuse to give up. The USS Blackstar continued its patrol through space that was no longer controlled by tyrants. The ship that had once faced an entire empire alone now led a coalition of free worlds working together for peace. Captain Kim knew that new challenges would arise. There would always be species that preferred conquest to cooperation, always be problems that required military solutions. But the galaxy had learned an important lesson from humanity's example. Sometimes the only way to ensure peace is to be willing to fight for it. And sometimes a single ship and its crew can change the course of history by simply refusing to surrender when surrender seems like the only option. The war was over, but the work of building a better galaxy had just begun. And somewhere in the distance, Earth continued to spin in its orbit around the sun, home to a species that had accidentally become the guardians of galactic freedom. The USS Blackstar flew onward through the stars, carrying the hopes of 1,000 worlds and the legacy of those who had dared to fight an empire and win.